Today on Muddy Rutz, I'm going to show you how to install this Dana Spicer Advantek Performance Diff Cover. This video is unsponsored, and all the products you see in it I purchased with my own money. The bad news, this flimsy OEM stamp steel diff cover is probably the most vulnerable part of your Jeep. It's okay if you're driving a pavement princess, but if you're planning on taking your Jeep off-road, it's a weak link. What this Jeep Gladiator Rubicon EcoDiesel needs is a rear differential cover upgrade. The good news is installing a Dana Spicer Performance Diff Cover is an easy and inexpensive DIY Jeep project, and it has huge payback. We're taking this Jeep on an off-road trip to Ouray, Colorado in a couple weeks, and I can't put off installing this off-road gear any longer. First things first, I'm going to break these 10mm bolts loose. Then I'm going to crack this diff cover at the bottom, let the oil drain out so I don't end up with an Exxon Valdez type oil spill going on here. I'll leave a couple in here at the top so this cover doesn't drop into the oil. I'm going to try to use these plastic pry tools because I don't want, yep, there we go, that worked. I don't want to end up scoring or scratching the mating surfaces that are going to seal this when I put the new diff cover back on. This is the original diff fluid that was in this Jeep when I got it. Smells like somebody's been eating pickled eggs and drinking beer in the garage. This diff has had time to drain, and I switched to the rubber gloves because this might start to get a little bit messy. Pop the last two bolts out. Woo, man, it stinks. Now the OEM diff cover used a gasket. We don't use, this is actually a reusable gasket, but we're not going to use this with a new diff cover. And I'll show you that, I'll talk about that later. And it's going to be critical to get this surface completely cleaned and ready without scratching or scoring it. Got the cover off and I noticed that there's paint around the edge of this diff surface here, but it does have some high spots on it that I think might keep the diff cover from going flush down flat on this surface. So I'm just going to knock off the high spots on it. I'm not worried about the paint, the actual paint, because the sealing surface, we're not going to be using the old gasket. We're not going to be putting a gasket. It's only going to be the RTV. It's going to be on the inside of these bolts. The inside of these bolts are nice and clean. I don't want the outside of this paint that's sticking up to hold the diff cover out or uneven at any point. I'm just going to knock it down so it's flat. I'm not going to worry about trying to grind it all off. I don't know what kind of wheel this is. I found this in my toolbox. I don't know where I got it or what it is, but I'm going to go ahead and just polish a little bit of the high spots off around it. Then I'll hit it with brake clean. Okay, I'm real happy with how smooth the surface should be prepared for the new diff cover. Now I just have to hit this with a little brake clean and we'll be able to prep that new diff cover to be installed. This diff cover for your Jeep, part number on it for the rear of the 2022 Gladiator EcoDiesel with a Dana 44 is going to be 1040651. You're going to get the actual diff cover, Dana Advantek Nodular Iron diff cover. You're going to get 12 pre-Loctited bolts with this pink Loctite, and you're going to get a tube of Reinzosil. There's no gasket with this. It only uses the Reinzosil, and in the video I'll get into that. So I have a rear and a front diff cover to install. Today I'm only making a video installing the rear. The front will be a different video and I'll do that one later. So this is the Spicer Nodular Iron Performance Diff Cover. Part number 1040651. And it fits the Wrangler JL, and it fits a Gladiator JT with a Dana 44 rear axle. And this one is for the rear. The difference between these diff covers is night and day. It's like comparing a Tiger tank to a VW Bug. First of all, the materials. The OEM is a stamped steel diff cover. The Spicer cover is nodular iron, and that's much more resistant to damage. The performance diff cover is not only stronger, but the material is also a lot thicker than the OEM. The differences in construction are apparent. The performance diff cover has all these ribs that make the construction of it much stronger. They also aid in cooling. They will also act as sliders that will help you slide off of obstacles. And the ribs protect the bolt heads, so you don't have to worry about an obstacle shearing off your bolt head. This cover also increases differential gear housing rigidity, which has performance benefits. This cover will improve power transfer, give you longer component life, and greater resistance to failure. Those are just a few of the benefits. The Advantek also has 2 fill holes. The second fill hole on top is for assemblies that are completely dry of fluid, and it's also for high pinion angle vehicles where they need more fluid because of the angle of the shaft. We're going to use the bottom hole to fill this diff. This Spicer diff cover also allows for greater fluid capacity while maintaining fluid dynamics. That means fluid is going to reach your gears to lubricate them, and the fluid is not going to get aerated in the process. That's what this radius is all about. It maintains the flow of the fluid so it gets back onto the gears in a smooth transition. There are a lot of aftermarket diff covers. If you ever see a flat back diff cover, run the other way. Flat backs might look cool, but they aerate the fluid, don't keep your fluid cool, and they don't lubricate gears well. So if you're going off-road, installing a diff cover like this to protect pumpkin, like a lot of guys call it, it's just a no-brainer. I'll have links in the description to purchase a lot of the products that you see in the video. I get a small commission if you use the link. It does not raise the price that you pay for that product, and it's a good way to support the channel that doesn't cost you anything, and your support means the world to me. Here's a pro tip straight from Spicer. No gasket required. We don't use the gasket. The only gasket we use is we make our gasket with this Reinzosil RTV, and it's a different kind of a product. They used to give you this Loctite $56.99 and you use the gasket. In this case, you don't. In fact, if you were to put this gasket on and put the diff cover on, your bolts would not be long enough to properly hold the diff cover on. Now, I know a lot of you guys are reading the forums. A lot of you guys are reluctant to put something like this diff cover on without a gasket and just rely on something like the Reinzosil or Reinzosil. Believe what they tell you. It's engineered. It's the way to do it. It's how they have it figured out. But go with the Spicer engineers. They engineered the part. They engineered your axle, and they also own the company that sells this. And I really think that they know what they're doing, and we should trust them on this one. So toss that old gasket out that you took off of your differential and go with the Reinzosil. So the differential's all ready, fluid's drained, the surface has been cleaned. All my tools, my bolts that are pre-Loctited are sitting over there waiting for me. After I put that bead of Reinzosil on here, I'm gonna have 5 to 15 minutes before it starts to skin over. I'm only going to seal on the inside here of these bolts because these are considered dry bolts. No fluid ever passes through or around the bolts. All the fluid stays within this surface here. So let's get this cleaned up and ready to go. Brake clean doesn't smell too good either. It's also extremely flammable. That brake clean will dry off lickety split. So if you're like me, more is always better. But in this case, I'm going to try to control myself. I'm just going to try to put just the right bead on here. I got the tip cut. I think it's about the right size. Let's see how I do here. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. The clock is ticking. Let's get this thing installed. Okay, here we go. Let's try to get this in here without damaging that bead of sealant. Getting that on anything that doesn't need to get on. Proof's gonna be in the pudding how good of a job we did here. Get a bolt wherever I can get one. Got all the bolts in there snugged up. Now I got the torque wrench set to 30 pounds. Well, the Reinzosil needs 4 to 6 hours for a functional cure. So that looks like tomorrow morning I'll be putting in the diff fluid. When I do put the diff fluid in, I'm going to be using this Amsoil 75W85. I use Amsoil for engine oil and all my lubricants on the Jeeps. It's all synthetic. It's made in the USA. It's a great product. And what I like about their diff oil and their transmission fluid and everything like that, it all comes in these pouches, so you can just cut this tip and squeeze it right in. There's no pump to have to fill up and then pump it in there like with other diff fluids and stuff. I'm sure there's some others that are just as good, but this is what I use, Amsoil. It's a great product. I let the Reinzosil cure overnight so it could obtain a functional cure. And then I added the fluid the next day. It took almost 2 quarts. Then I took a test drive to make sure everything was still working properly. Huge upgrade for the rear differential for the trip that I have coming up. But I hope you got something out of the video. You enjoyed it, learned something maybe. And if you did, hit that like button. Let me know you liked it. Leave a comment. That's really important. Love to hear the comments from you guys. What you think I did wrong, what I could have done better, any questions that I might be able to answer. And if you dig in the channel, check out my other videos. And I've got a lot of how-tos, DIYs. And I also have my website, muddyrutz.com, where I have lots of great articles that are related to all the videos I made. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. And don't forget, on Muddy Rutz, the best is yet to come.